Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Dialogue to Destiny. Our goal is to engage in discussions that lead to personal and systematic change. These conversations can broach subjects that some may find offensive. It is not the intent of Dialogue to Destiny to in any way offend. Our intent is to encourage open dialogue so that collectively we can all move forward.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Dialogue to Destiny. Today we're going to talk about celibacy and waiting for the right person. And I know this is a subject that a lot of us have probably, made commitments to ourselves. We tried to do it and was unable to, uphold our promise to ourselves. But we're going to be joined today in this conversation with two young men that have actually made that commitment, and they're doing the right thing, trying to go into a relationship and into a potential marriage with morals and just trying to live the right way. So I just first off want to welcome Wesley and Zach to our podcast today. And Zach, if you could just go on and let the audience know what it is that just let us know a little bit about yourself.
Sounds good. My name is Zach Russell from Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. I'm currently a representative for the Department of Education, so I work for just getting people out of student loan debt. Mm-hmm. My in-depth passion is I'm a spoken word poet.
All right.
So I've been doing that for about 5 years plus. I do a lot of open mics and poems daily before COVID. Look forward to doing it once COVID is slowing down. I'm a heavy bookworm, so I love reading books about just African American history, self-help, financial literacy. So I'm really big on self-improvement. One thing about me as well is I'm a big music connoisseur, so I love listening to hip hop and R&B, old school hip hop, old school R&B, 90s and 80s. Really just make me feel good. So really, I'm just an open, peaceful person. I try to be at the most time. That's just a little bit about myself.
All right, Wes, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
You guys already know about me.
I know the audience doesn't know about you.
I'm Dack Whitfield's son, the Dialogue to Destiny, one of the co-hosts. Also good friends with Steve, producer, Zach, good friends. And just from Minneapolis, Minnesota as well. I'm currently working with the Minneapolis Public School District. So we're doing distance learning right now, and hopefully to get back into the classroom soon. And a little bit.
All right, Steve, you want to open the dialogue?
All right, thank you for the introduction, man. I found out some new things about you, Zach. But I always thought you were a deep young man from the minute I've met you and stuff, man. And then when I found out about the saving of yourselves, you and Wesley saving of yourselves for the relationship that you want, it kind of blew me away. When I was your age, and I would have to go back to even younger, because when I was your age, I was a father. I had 2 kids by this time. And to be perfectly honest, yes, I made it through. I persevered, and I had a lot of help around me to help get me through that young parenting stage. Although I was not ready. The support system is what got me through. What I find so intriguing about you young men, you guys are young men in your prime, good-looking young men, and you have made a real conscious decision, a real cerebral decision, thought went into this, to save yourselves for your relationship. Could you point out what were the determining factors that were so glaringly important to you for you to make this decision that I would venture to say that 95% or more of young males, white or black, would be intimidated to make, fear to share, and would they have the strength to, follow through and do it? What were those things that made you gentlemen decide to make that important and cerebral decision?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I would say it would be like a cause and effect type of feeling for me. after most cases, after like a lot of encounters previously, how I would feel afterwards was like empty.
Okay.
And, of course, any man that has sexual intercourse and the satisfaction you get feels good temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
And once I'm idle, I'm like, okay, how am I going to feel afterwards? How am I going to feel going throughout the week?
Mm.
And over time, amongst my peers, everybody has a different perception upon getting recognition as far as upon the quantity of women you have or the quality. So I wanted really just to change my mindset. This was like a real recent decision for myself as well, just because of how I was feeling and how I view myself as a man. So just going forward into like the new year and in the future, I want to make sure I'm able to spread, give out my energy towards someone that I really trust and love versus someone that is random. It's a very difficult thing to do because at my age, to be quite honest, I'm still young, and I still like to have fun and like in certain ways. So just trying to find my peace and balance and not having to create my own temptation. Because in most cases, I was putting myself in certain circumstances. I was asking God, like, hey, why do you put me in this?
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to think to myself, like, no, this is me putting myself in this situation.
Okay.
But I'm not really thinking about the cause and effect. And the cause is simply just my emotions not fully controlled.
Mm.
But when I let it go unwavering, the effect is me having to deal with me feeling empty, having to deal with just conversation with somebody that I don't really have interest in. And I'm all about respect of women. So as far as upon like talking to someone and leading her on is like a disservice to me. So as far as upon what led me to it, real recent is just to create peace for myself. But,
There was a couple of things that you said that jumped out at me. One was to summarize notches in the belt, how many conquests I've had, how many people that I've been with. And there was something else that you struck on that just kind of brought back memories of myself and when I knew others had crossed that line. And we'll say crossing the line is, probably having sex before you should. And I don't want to get too graphic because I want this to be a healthy conversation and productive as well. So crossing the line is going to mean that going forward. You could always tell. And that feeling that you identify is the first time that I've had a description for it. The emptiness afterwards. Yes, you hurry up and you rush into this thing. You guys hurry up and do whatever it is you want to do. You cross the line. But you have a hard time looking at the same person you just laid down and gave your energy to. You have a hard time looking that person in the face. That there alone lets you know I've gone too quick. And I don't even know if I've gone that I've gone so quick, and I don't know if that was even in the right direction. You know that there's missing components from that relationship before you got to that point. And it's almost like putting the cart before the horse. And you have to have a relationship. Because sometimes, many times, I can't speak for anybody other than myself, those times where I've rushed in, I come to find out later, we had nothing other than common, had nothing in common, nothing that would be good to come from this relationship other than the primal, if that's okay. Just the primal. There's nothing to grow on from that. So I'm really impressed by that decision. Wesley, your point of view on this?
Yeah, it's kind of pretty much similar to Zach's. I actually probably knew from an early age when I was little, like, that I wanted to preserve myself for someone, and that this was before any type of beliefs, any type of traditions, customs, any type of thing somebody's like telling me to do. And I knew at an early age I was like, man, I'm gonna find somebody really good, and then that's gonna be somebody I'm gonna be with and things like that. And then I said about teenage years, started switching a little bit, but it was still the same. And that's when I kind of got more into like beliefs, just spiritual beliefs and things like that, and just reading about celibacy, like semen retention and things like that, the benefits of it. And then it was almost kind of like for maybe like some religious folks and stuff, like they say, oh, I feel like I'm a sinner or something. I feel like I'm doing this if I mess around or I do this and things. So I was kind of like in that mindset, that frame, and that kind of carried me. And then it got to the point, I'd probably say right now, early 20s or so, it switched more to just seeing like the what it is now, like the relationship module and stuff, and the things today. It's like, I mean, it's people. I don't know, man. It's crazy to me because it's like
some of that I see. I'm not ready.
Yeah, it's just like Zach said. It's just temporary. I look at it as like junk food, man. Something sugary, something so sweet. It looks good. It's like, man, I'm about to tear this up or whatever. It's like I'm referring to like food and stuff, and then it's like you eat it, and it's like after it's like, man, my stomach hurt. I feel kind of sick. I'm tired, and so I look at like the cost benefit of both, and it's like the way I feel afterwards is more worse or have more like of a power type of energy than how I felt like during the actual action or before. And it's like I just wasting time, man, like resources, and I look at it as like an investment too and things like that. It's like what am I gaining out of this? And I know for a lot of people, just like different community, like maybe the sexual health community, men's health, women's health, it's like a lot of people just feel empty afterwards, and a lot of people do it because they're either lonely, stressed out, or usually like out of boredom and stuff. So they just try to find that little feel, and afterwards a lot of times it kind of puts them back in the hole that they were. And so that's just my thing. It went from just at first like my own beliefs, and it went to teenage years like a spiritual belief, and then it went to just like a society looking at things as a whole. So yeah.
All right, man. I'll tell you one thing. Just listening to Steve and you two talk about this whole idea, and just I mean, this is probably, I think, one of the most important conversations we've had on Dialogue to Destiny. Because I do kind of feel that our irresponsibility with our sexuality has probably been the most detrimental contributor to the black family in this country, and to hear young men, talk about how they have decided consciously to make a decision to try to, to save that part of themselves and the rear end, the creating life, because that's what sexuality does. I mean, eventually, it leads to creating another life, and to be responsible with something like that, to me, is very commendable. I just know from a lot of the relationships that I've had in my life, my focus, especially when I was a young man like you guys, it was never friend before lovers. You know what I'm saying? And when people go into a relationship with that frame of mind, that there's one objective, and once that objective is conquered, because I don't care, you're gonna need something more to hold that relationship together. I don't care how fulfilled you were in the sex or whatever. One thing I've learned is that it never lasts. I mean, that feeling of ecstasy and that excitement of a new relationship or whatever, it always wears down. And if you don't have something other than a physical connection with that person, I mean, the relationship is bound to fail. So, like, a question I want to ask you guys is, with you being so, conscious and responsible with the way that you view sexuality and that physical connection, what is it that you would expect from a potential woman that you may meet? I mean, because while you're sitting here doing the right things, I mean, you're going to, you may run into a woman that has been all over the place. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what is it that you would expect from a potential partner, going forward?
I could definitely be very detailed and descriptive, but I know,
Beautiful.
like, in life, nothing really comes perfect as far as upon your imagination and what you really set a goal upon. So me honestly, honesty, transparency, I would say heavily. I would dislike to talk to somebody that can't get open with me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I know it would take time to create that openness, but I want to make sure it's a equivalent type of conversation, you know, with my lady I'm supposed to be talking to. So I would definitely say honesty, transparency, just caring and being able to listen. I feel like, especially our age group, me and Wesley's, a lot of people like to talk right away just to be heard. And with having that type of characteristic, it prevents you from wanting to listen. So just actually having someone to be able to listen and actually be my backbone. Not just say it to, have it feel good, but actually to be my backbone to who I am, to really just be my crutch. Not as a man as far as upon leaning toward all the time, but knowing I have a strong woman besides me to help me grow as a man. I can help her grow as a woman. One phrase I like to use a lot is being equally yoked. I can't speak for nothing I haven't went through. So
Preach.
I'm assuming as far as upon being equally yoked is being just equally strong, equally wanted to grow to become better people. Like I said, I'm not the type of guy that wants, that's gonna make it seem like she has to be like an hourglass and this and that, because of course I'm assuming my potential wife is definitely someone I'm attracted to, but I'm not going to pinpoint every single detail she has to be, because I'm minimizing my lady. So definitely as far as on an internal level, she has to be just have to have intense passion for from her life and for myself as well. So I don't want to say too much when it comes to like characteristics, because I could definitely go all day, but I feel like that would lead towards temporary. That would lead towards just me seeing her on the exterior level. If that's all I see, if that's all I know and see about her, that would just show upon what I really want from her as a woman. I'm only seeing her as an object, as a physical being. So I want to make sure I can see her on the inside. So just being just honest, transparent, respectful, and just having knowing who she puts her trust in when it comes to getting more power as far as upon spirituality. So she definitely will have to have at least a decent relationship with God. She doesn't have to be the most religious person, but someone I can grow with. Yeah. I would say.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Zach. And yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as well. It's just I'll say for me a ride or die, but I think that'll come. But I say just a connection, just a vibe, because when you know what it is, that's what it is. So, and just because like I said, looks and exterior stuff, that stuff wears out, and over time, I mean, you still be attracted to them, but that's not what holds. That's not what keeps it sufficient in things. So just being, like Zach said, equally yoked, and finding somebody that's virtuous, man, like precious like rubies to you in your eyes, and seeing that just building together and growing. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, is because I know a lot of people, they like, oh, I'm gonna wait till the finish line. I'm not gonna put any work in, or I'm gonna get him when he's successful or whatever like that. It's like, well, where are you at when I'm struggling, when I'm down, when I'm out, like that 50 Cent song, 21 Questions. Would you still be with me if I flip burgers at Burger King or something? So that to me, that's the biggest quality right there. That and just loyalty and trust, and keeping your word too as well. So that's what I'm referring to. And I don't expect even it don't even have to be a woman, just anybody in general to really give me the true love, because I think the love that I'm really seeking is from God or from a higher source. And I know a lot of girls I come across, just people in general, they felt like I can't give you the love that you need and things like that, which I kind of, at first I was like, that don't make sense, but it is. It's like, for me, I'm seeking, like, it's like a higher love for me, and I really can't explain it, but I think in terms like a woman or something like that, it's kind of like helping, like uniting to get that higher love.
And I think that's a very good approach, Wesley, because I think a lot of people get into a relationship expecting it to be a loving relationship, expecting or thinking that what they're giving is genuine love when they haven't found the love of self first.
Yeah.
So when I hear you say that I'm seeking something higher from my higher power to be within me, and once that's within me, I can be who I'm supposed to be within the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear that, and that's a beautiful thing. Something else that you guys had brought up, and it started with your father here when he talked about the relationships that he was in, and some of it, the tenor of his conversation turned towards the other person. Now, what we've talked about, but I still heard it, was saving myself for the right person. So there's a thought of the other side of this relationship, and it's not a self-consuming, what is it I need? I'm also hearing, what can I offer to the relationship that I want to have? And hearing people talk about their relationships or not talk about them gives me insight to what that relationship is. What am I hearing when it's just me and Dack? Just for instance, as an example, if it's me and Dack talking about a relationship, what is it that I'm hearing? Am I hearing fear? Am I hearing, hesitation towards giving more of yourself? Or am I hearing about the rubies, the diamonds, the gems that you spoke of that are in the relationship? When I hear about the gemstones and the precious metal that is within, just figuratively speaking, that is within the relationship, I know that you are digging or mining to have the best out of that relationship, because those are the things that are on the forefront of your mind. Now, if I hear somebody, just to use a Archie Bunker term, if I hear somebody calling their wife a dingbat all the time, they make stupid decisions all the time, that this isn't a relationship that you're sitting down and you're talking to this person with. You're venting with me. And I don't want to get that far off into that direction. I want to bring it back more to the scope of where we started, which was the saving yourself. See, it took me a long time and being in and out of relationships to realize what you guys are doing. Usually, those people that save themselves and think about their relationships have healthier, longer lasting, more productive relationships. From those relationships, they have healthier kids and healthier families. Mm-hmm. Okay? Just from the fact of saving themselves, which I think is such an important thing, because sometimes young men, and this goes both ways, young men, young women, their first experience is usually with somebody who's more experienced. Making sense? Usually that person that has more experience has been hurt and hasn't handled the love nor the hurt part right. So when they get to this person that's newly into the relationship, they jade them presently, and they jade them in their future relationships. Don't bring that baggage into our relationship. That was your last relationship, but all I have to go by is my experiences. Okay? We usually make decisions based on our past experiences. Yeah. Right or wrong, fact or fictional. We make them off the past relationship. You guys are taking a very conscious effort not to jade your spirit, not to, to harden your heart, not to have a stiff neck going into the relationship. That's because I walk in thinking cerebrally and not sexually. You follow me?
Yeah.
And these are the things that I find so impressive, that I could have made these same decisions and been in healthier, better relationships earlier. Okay? Instead of having one later on in life. I think you guys are setting yourself up to impact your lives positively, other people's lives positively, and whether you know it or not, being exemplary role models within the community as black men. How many black men at this age are role modeling the way you guys are, not just in this venue here, as far as in education, as far as your spiritual life, just how you carry yourselves in the community. Does all this play a part, this section here play a part in the whole of the young men that I'm seeing today?
I think it's building. I'm seeing more and more young men, and not even just young men, but men in general, kind of, I said, saving themselves. I won't necessarily say getting like, for the young men, I see like getting married. This is just what I see in like the community, people I talk to and stuff like that. I mean, there's a large portion that's saving themselves for marriage, but a lot of people, especially like older men, like middle age and stuff like that, they've been through marriages and stuff like that, and they're just saying, I'm completely done, pretty much going like almost like a monk mode type thing, and saying, I'm done with relationships, I'm done with marriage, and I'm just gonna keep to myself and things like that, and I'm starting to see this trend increasing as well. So it's like I said, it's growing on both aspects. But I think just kind of how things are looking now, and just the trend of relationships and things like that, I think a lot of people are saving themselves. But it could also be expanded too, because I know a few people, and it's another thing, is that people would judge you and stuff, especially like within the black community. Man, what you talking about saving yours? Man, you crazy, man. You what you doing talking about that? Yep. It's like, man, I gotta do something every week or whatever. So that's just. It's just some people's mindsets and stuff, but
I want to ask you one simple question. I'm going to let Dack jump in. The person that said that, what are the relationships like and how they living?
Well, it's usually
okay.
I'll just leave it like that. Well,
we ain't gonna talk about nobody, but you see what I'm saying. You see the point. You see the point. What are their relationships like and how are they living?
Yeah.
Zach, did you want to have something to add to what Steve had asked, or?
Yeah. As far as upon your question, you were saying like, how does today's generation like view the celibacy right now?
Well, I'm saying, how does this tie into the many things that I'm seeing here? Because you didn't just speak about your celibacy. You spoke about relationship with somebody else. What I added to that is your role modeling for other black men within the community. And this is the spoke in a whole of who you're trying to become? Is this just one wedge in the pie, this celibacy? Or could you expand on the celibacy part about, let me just say it like this. Let me beat around the bush. I'm going to make it a direct question of the dynamic young men that I see. I see this as only a spoke in some of the other things that I knew about you and the things I learned about you today. Is this just a spoke or a slice of the pie that's a whole that is Zach and Wes? And how does this transcend itself through the other pieces of the pie?
Okay. I would say for myself, it's definitely just one category of my life that I want to improve on.
All right.
To help me become a better black man, to leverage myself. I definitely have goals to leverage myself within my mind, financially. But if I'm doing those, and also just leverage myself to be a better like family person. But if I'm missing that key factor to like get control of my like emotions when it comes to lust, then I'm not really going forward in life. I can attend as far as upon what Wesley was saying, as far as upon more people are talking about like saving themselves, because I think it has become more of a trend, especially with our access to social media. A lot of people actually make videos upon their journey, abstaining from like sex, abstaining from just being peaceful. So it's more of a trendy type of thing. But when I think of a trend, it can be looked at as like, I'm getting this done for recognition, which it sounds good. So I'd rather, save myself, for my inner peace, and not to be looked at like he's a holy person, he's a great person, because everybody has a different conception about you or perspective about you. So this decision, as far as upon what I'm making for myself, is simply for myself. It's not really for anybody else. It's not to be looked at as a righteous man, because it's a great decision, but I'm not doing it for the accolades. It's more upon to free my mind and free myself. So taking care of that category and that portion of my life makes other parts of my life, less stressful in an invisible way, slowly. So I realized that, like I said, real recently when I just shifted my perspective upon how I talk to women, how I view them, definitely. And then also about the decisions I make. Like if I chose to make the decision, I wouldn't really like say it to everybody because everybody has their own type of opinion. I really feel like, your best type of goals you make is best kept inside the mind. Therefore, it's protected. You don't really have any outside sources that are trying to hinder you from your success. So I would say it's just, it's one decision, it's one category, one type of, thing that I would want to change that would better myself in many other areas of my life.
Yeah, man, I love the response. I love the answer.
Yeah, since doing this podcast, I can say, man, I am more and more astonished every day with you young guys, man. Seriously. And I like what you said about not doing this for accolades or so that you can put this out in public. But, the reason why I think having this conversation on this podcast is important is because there may be other young people out there, whether it's male or female, that are battling the same concerns, but with peer pressure and just being around other people like Wesley was saying, other people that are badgering you, telling you, hey man, you're a square if you don't do this, you ain't no real man if you, man, all these women out here, man, and you sitting here talking about you're waiting for the right one and this and that. And, I just know, I look back at, like I said, I'm an old man now compared to you guys, but I look back at my relationships. And I, I've always, I don't feel like I ever really took, sex for granted. I did feel that being in a, even though sex was probably, as a young man especially, was probably the center of my relationship. But I wasn't free to just go around and just mess with everybody that came into focus for me. You know what I'm saying? So I was pretty selective. But when I hear you guys talking about talking the way you are, not just about the physical aspect, but about just the family building and relationship building. That is, man, that's very, very powerful.
Well, how do you guys see relationships change from when y'all were young to today?
Well, let me just answer this real quick. I think for you guys in today's world to even be able to fight a lustful temptation I think is much harder for you guys. You have a thumb, access to the world. You have people all, so much social media, this and that. When I was in my early 20s, that was 30 years ago. When I was in my early 20s, I think it took a lot more effort for a young man to go out and find women or just being, even find a potential partner. It just, but today it's just like I feel like it's just so easy, and when someone can sit here and say, hey, even though the numbers are out there, even though it's much easier for me to get to what it is, get with a woman, I'm still willing to wait for the right person, man. I don't know. I think it's a lot easier for you guys today than it was.
I differ on that.
That?
I think it was easier. Remember, when we were born, it was all about free love. And I think the young ladies and the young men now are more knowledgeable about intercourse than we ever were. Because it's you go to the health clinic, you go to the clinic, you go to the doctor, so you have more preventive measures. And for the first time over the past 5 years, teen pregnancy is going down.
Well, but I think it's because of young people. It's not that when I say easier, I'm saying it's easier for them to go out and find themselves in, physical relationships with people. You know, I mean, I think it's because people, it's the education. It's not, you know, it's not really that a person that wants to be involved with another person physically can't go out and find that person a lot easier today.
It's not about finding. I think that people are more informed. And I think informed decisions are being made that are bringing the birth rate down. I think, well, like these young men had said, the relationships that they've seen within our community. And I've said this once before. Sometimes, like the relationship I'm in, people view my relationship as boring. You and your wife stay home. You go out to eat. Y'all do things together.
You're an old man, Steve.
You don't do things together. You know what I'm saying? They consider it boring. A lot of people now do not. And I look at some of my son's friends, my kids' friends, man. They don't think that they're in a relationship unless there's some mess going on. Unless there's some toxicity of some type within the relationship, they don't feel that they're having any. So sometimes, if there's not, you know, a bunch of sparks and flames and smoke in the relationship,
that was the same thing when we were in our 20s too, man.
Yeah, but I see people having, and women especially, having more information, more knowledge, and more say-so over their beings now, as opposed to the 60s and 70s that we grew up in. So that's what I'm saying there. That I think, and with the numbers saying with teen pregnancy coming down, they're making a more conscious decision. Just like these young women are making more conscious decisions about their sexuality, their birth, what they're choosing, whether it's an alternative, you know, relationship.
You don't think that these young
people are making, these young men are making a conscious decision that's positively impacting our community.
See, I see it differently, man. I almost feel like today's generation is almost like the second baby boomer generation. I believe that there's so much more open to sexuality, you know, than even our generation. I mean, there's now, I mean, whether it's, I mean, whatever kind of sex they want to have, you know, and I think part of it is like I said, social media and their easy access to the world. I mean, they can, you know. So no, I mean, you don't understand what I'm saying.
I mean, you grew up over north like I grew up over north, man.
Well, we grew up in two different parts of over north.
Man, we grew up over north. I put it like anybody who didn't grow up over north would not divide the sections in over north that we grew up in.
No, well, what I'm trying to, well, Steve, I understand what you're saying, but see, well, let me ask you guys: I mean, from what you know about your previous generations, do you feel like your access to being involved in a sexual relationship is easier than it would have been, say, in our generation?
Way easier.
And that's what I'm saying.
Way easier. I can agree with Steve, though, as far as upon us, men and women, being educated. I would say being educated upon ways to prevent actual kids from happening, like contraceptives, you know, birth control. But as far as upon people like still wanting to have sex at a higher level, it has dramatically increased. Access to women nowadays, you don't have to see them out in public, you can see them through your phone, which I feel like that definitely decreases your communication level as far as how you conduct yourself as a man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot easier now. I would say it's sad too, because I feel like you don't really have to have too much going on for yourself to really want to get to someone's, you know, pants. It's simple as that. You can also be associated with money. It can be associated as far as upon who you hang around with. There are so many key factors that can roll around as far as upon getting what you want, and it can happen within seconds and minutes, which is sad, because I feel like as men we're looked at like as like, you know, we're dogs, we have to get what we want, and as women, like, I feel like that phrase, that statement that talks about protecting black women. I feel like we should, as black men, we should inform our black men to really take ownership upon who we are, and to really just be more conscious as far as upon how we view women. That way, if we have a different perspective as far as upon how we view women, the disrespect would diminish. But just to stem up as far as off having sex, it's a lot easier now. Only way I can agree with Steve as far as upon being educated is people know upon if a mistake were to happen to simply just go to Walgreens, get a contraceptive. If you're in a relationship, if you want to avoid using protection, I mean, a lot of women use birth control or pills. I mean, that's upon their discretion. So the education on that level is definitely available. But as far as upon having access to sex, it's a lot more easier now. I feel like 10 years ago, like back in 15 years ago, like back in like 06 or 07, if I would have seen a girl at the mall, I would have to make my only opportunity to want to go talk to her. If I don't talk to her, that's it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
As far as upon now, I can see her on social media. I can be as confident and as cocky as I want through social media.
There
but
you go.
In person, I could be as quiet, as a pin drop. So I feel like that can lead towards communication as far as upon us not knowing how to fully communicate in person, not knowing how to fully respect a woman, not knowing how to fully just be direct. And I had a problem with not being direct as far as upon if I just wanted this, I never would say it, and that could create confusion.
I have to embrace your answer. See,
Yep.
I can't accept Dack's answer, and I have to admit how little I know, because neither one of us, please forgive me, neither one of us getting any. And don't nobody want us. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody like, hey, how you doing? They like, hey, can I help you across the street?
Oh no, hey, I ain't there yet, Steve.
Okay, I'll embrace that. I'm a
Y'all,
little
y'all,
older than that.
y'all, like y'all
okay?
the old and crippled or something.
I know,
Hey,
man.
man, I got bad feet, man. Everything else is good, man. But
What they say? What's that term? Why would you settle for grape juice when you can have wine?
yeah, right. And but y'all would be the grape juice, we would be the wine. We're aged, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I just remember growing up in the neighborhood, and I remember the games that we played. I can remember each one of those girls' names. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I ain't trying to put nobody down, and I was no Don Juan, man. I was probably just available, but I have to embrace his point of view, because this is his conversation in his air at his time.
That's right.
And like I said, I have a boring life. I sit at home. This man is out here on social media, in the schools. He's out here. I have to accept these young men's answer, and that's part of what this type of conversation is about.
Yeah.
I've sat in the house so long, in my comfort, if you want to call it that I've lost touch with what's going on out there. So it's good for us to have these types of conversations.
And I think for me, I don't have social media, so that accessibility for me, I mean, it can play a role in why I think I'm the certain how I am, like the lifestyle or whatever. But my main reason for getting on social media is just because of that fact, mainly because it's like you meet somebody, you like, oh, hey, you look nice. Oh, you want my IG, you want my Instagram handle or my Twitter handle, my IG account or something. And then it's like you got to follow everything on social media so somebody can get followers to make themselves look good. And then it's all about selfies, posting pictures, and it's like you look on the comments, it's all these dudes or women be like, man, you look so good. You think about how many people get like attention and like simpish behavior each and every day from like international and all types of people. So it's like you're doing that, and then you trying to message a girl, they call it the DMs. So you message her, and you put like hey or something like that. She's been hurt. She heard it from all other types of people. So it's like, what makes you so special? What makes you new? And then they be a lot of people going around. Hey, ain't no good man around here. Ain't no. But it's like I don't know. I don't want to get too.
Where you looking and what you drawing, whether male or female.
Yeah, that whole concept, you brought up that issue about, women saying there aren't any good men. I think part of the problem, is me personally, I've always felt like women are attracted to men that they really don't see a future with. They see an instant with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, good guys just, I mean, it just seems like they don't want that. They want somebody that, hey, I see a moment with him, and that's it, you know. And like I was saying earlier, man, I mean, if you two young men, good looking young men, bright futures ahead of yourselves, can make this kind of commitment to yourself, man, like I said, two old grumpy. Well, Steve is married, you know. But two old grumpy men, you know. We can definitely follow your example, man. I mean, that's a powerful thing you guys are talking about here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add, or?
I would say, like, just to be honest, and as of right now, within this pandemic, like with COVID, it's a lot easier to abstain from sex. It's a lot easier to, like, not be talking to multiple women because my accessibility and it's limitations as far as upon where I can go, entertainment wise, and as far as upon just restrictions. So I think everything happens for a reason. I think with COVID and the pandemic happening right now, it definitely helped me to have better knowledge of self, to really like love myself and self-love, which I really took into consideration this year. I mean, as far as upon 2020, just understanding upon who I am as a black man and just understanding the power that I have. And then every day, when it's more knowledge I got with that, I realized, like, man, I should really change my perception on women. Not saying it was real negative, but as far as upon when I talk to them, I shouldn't be only looking for this. If I am, I shouldn't be talking to them. And with media, with social media, it's tough because as positive as you can be on social media, you can be exposed towards negativity, and you have to make that split decision if you want to settle in, to what you're used to and be comfortable, or to make that decision to like get off social media, or just to change your perception. So I would say, as of right now, that within the pandemic, it makes it easier because I'm not outside just looking for women. Because I had before.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I haven't had previous experience with me out and me wanting to get girls like daily, like that's always on my mind, then I wouldn't be able to have this conversation. I would still have that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, already having the mindset to chase women on a consistent basis, and me knowing how it felt during and after, has led me to where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go through it to basically have a better perception. So I'm actually glad that I have went through like a decent amount of encounters for me to really shift my perception.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, but you can't give a testimony from theory. A testimony comes from being tested. And that's where it comes from. And I hope I'm not out of line when I say this, man, because I know Dack to be a very good father. But I know that he gives a lot of credit to Wesley's mom for having her hand on him and his growth. I know Zach's mom has his hand on him a lot. And if you hear this conversation, it brings a level of respect, levity to the respect that these young men have for women, which inadvertently comes from their mother. And what I see here is something that my mother used to always say to me growing up as I started this date and starting to get in the streets. It was, I want you to date a woman that you can love as much as you thought I should be loved. Follow me? So on her worst day, I want you to be able to treat her like you would want me to be treated on my worst day. Follow me?
That's some good advice there, man.
You follow me? So if you find yourself with a woman that you can't do that for, she's probably not cut from the right cloth, and you're probably not ready for that relationship. You are not ready if you're not able to treat her with the love that you would want your mother to be treated with. And I hear this in your voices. I hear it said differently, but I think the intent is more important. And you said it, how I want to treat the woman that I'm with, how I want to be within the relationship that I want to have. And those are very important things to shoot for. One of the young men that's here behind the camera, Justin, we had this conversation just the other day standing outside. And I don't know how we got on the subject, but it was, I believe that I'm in a relationship that's worth working for. I'm in a relationship with somebody who believes that we have a relationship to work for. And I always want to behave in a manner towards the vision that I have for the relationship that I want to be in. And I'm not always successful, but it's what I strive for. And I see you guys laying groundwork to have that type of relationship. And I think that is so healthy, so beneficial for our kids to see that type of male and female relationship, that type of thought and caring going into a relationship, because it gives them something to grow toward. I applaud you, young man. Once again, parents, job well done.
Well, I'll be honest, and I can't take any credit for anything, man. Because
yes, you can.
No,
Dad.
Steve.
Hey,
you know what, man?
Yourself,
I have
you
given
were a very good dad. Dak, this is the last time I'm gonna say it, because you know how many you bump heads, man. Wish I had a man in my life like you, man.
No, I understand that, but I'm just gonna say that, and that's why it probably it's a good balance.
Cut that part.
It's a good balance to have a man and a woman, a father and a mother involved in a child's life, because see, I come from the selfish male perspective on a lot of things when it comes to relationships. I've told my sons, and they've heard it many times, and I'm glad that in a lot of ways they didn't listen to me, because I've told my sons, never love a woman more than she loves you, because she will hurt you if she knows that that's the case. Now, I have told them that, and people have said, man, that's crazy, man, that's crazy. But you know what? And that comes from what Zach and you were talking about earlier about being hurt in previous relationships myself. Hurt people are going to teach people, they're going to hurt people too, right?
Propagate pain.
That's right. So I will say that's why a conversation like this does give me some hope, because I know that a lot of my advice going in, for my sons is because I'm trying to protect their hearts from what I had to go through with women. You understand what I'm saying? And a mother, just like women, teach their daughters the same thing. Hey, don't ever let a man feel like you have to have him in your life. Don't ever depend on him. I mean, so we all teach our kids different things, and it's good that as kids grow up and they mature, they learn for themselves what's good for them and what fits in their life. Because like I said, I'm sitting here listening to everybody, man, and it's bringing some perspective to me as to how I need to move going forward. Because even at 53 years old, I ain't too old to learn about relationships either. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is some very, very, very good stuff for even an old man like myself.
I agree. You at 53, I say go to the convalescent home and not the club to look for your next date. No,
well, I'd be going there. I'd be going there to hang out with you, because you've been there a couple of years, man.
Yeah, I've been there for a while.
But the thing is, man, is like I said, relationships are a tough thing, man, and I really like something that Zach said earlier about how he's doing this for himself. Amen. It's not to bring attention to himself, or it's not so that he can sit on a podcast like this and brag about it. He's doing it because he feels that's the direction his life, that he wants to take his life. And you know what, man, you're going to have a strong, when you meet that right person, both of you and Wesley, and I tell Wesley this all the time too, you're going to have a very strong relationship, because you're approaching it from a completely different angle than I ever have. You know, I'm telling you, I've never went into a relationship, you know, with just, you know, I had ulterior motives, you know, I mean, and I will at this point admit that, you know, I mean, I had my goal on one thing, and a lot of women have their goal on the same thing too, you know. But the fact that you can sit here, man, and say, hey, you know, it's all about building a team, you know, and in order to build this team, you know, I got to trust and she's got to trust. We got to come in together on the same level. I think that's a good thing, man.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard too. Equally yoked.
Yeah,
That's spiritual. Equally yoked. Where we help each other grow. The energy that we put into this isn't just exhaust put out. You know, it's actual energy to make the thing rotate, make it move, you know, to put motion to it. These are the things that I'm hearing. And, you know, this is somebody who's read scripture in depth. He didn't stop at men or women obey your husband. He read himself out of that verse. Men, treat your wives like that most precious thing. And I think R. Kelly says it the best. If you love your Jeep and you love your bank account, you better polish and wash her up like you do your Jeep, and you better pay as much attention to you as you do your bank account. If these are the things that spur your love, let her be more than those things. You feel me?
I do.
Because men, we can hold on to some materialistic things. We will wash that car. We will worry about our shoes, our hard bottoms or our tennis shoes. You know what I mean? We will worry about our clothes more than we worry about that person that we're sharing life with.
You know, well, I mean, and that's part of the key in waiting, man, is you get to know people. You know what I'm saying?
Know yourself.
We got to know yourself first,
know yourself.
But you definitely just giving yourself an opportunity, man, to get to see somebody outside of the sexual element. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very important. You know, that's a big thing, man. But we're getting ready to close it up. So, is there anything that you guys wanted to close it up with?
Can I ask a question that, as a viewer, people might be wondering?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you managed to maintain celibacy your whole life, or have you had sex before?
I messed up. I mean, I'm not saying it as a way to shame myself, because I have compassion for myself. And when I say compassion, it's like I'm not defeating myself because I had sex. I'm actually thinking myself that, you know, it happened, but I learned from it. You know, like I said, I'd rather learn from a situation previously, so now I can really
Speak to it.
actually just grow and talk about it. But like I said, like I can't. It's hard for me to go in depth about something I had never experienced and I don't got knowledge about. So I mean, but like growing up through high school, I mean, I was very just conscious as far as upon avoiding sex. So I mean, honestly, you know, just to be transparent, it didn't really happen until like once I got out of high school, as far as upon me being curious. And once it happened, you know, I kind of came into a mindset of just, okay, I'm gonna just be like everybody else and just have my fun. And that's only for like a short time span. And once everybody lays down, if you're single, you lay down by yourself at night, and you wake up by yourself, and it's like, man, like, how do I feel in the morning? And how do I feel afterwards? And am I still talking to this person? How do I view her? And do I actually see her more than just on the physical standpoint? And most times it's no. You know, even if I try to like recreate it and try to create some type of like chemistry, it's awkward. It feels weird. You know what I'm saying? Like I just see you as this. I got my present too early. You know, if you want to be real. So I just see like if I just switch that type of standpoint, I want to just build that chemistry. Let me just see what your mind is at. I think my favorite song I can relate, if y'all know, it's like a Music Soul Child song called Just Friends. And this talks about just really getting to know that person on an internal level before you get to that sexual standpoint.
I kind of agree with that. To share the story I shared with you before we went on air, that's kind of like the relationship. Unintentionally, I wasn't cerebral about it like you guys were, but the relationship I'm in now took those steps. Thank God, you know, thank God. It took those years of friendship before we even decided to go into a relationship in order to build a marriage, a partnership. Took friendship to relationship to partnership.
And that's the key word, partnership, man. You know, it is.
Equally yoked. He said it first.
That is.
I'm just
right.
repeating what the young man said.
Nah, and, yeah. So Wes, did you have anything you want to add?
For Jesse, yeah, I say the reason I am so hard into celibate is because of the non-celibate aspect, and but the people I was in relationships with, I thought I was gonna be with them for a long, long time. It's not like I was planning on like breaking up. Okay, this is gonna be for 3 months. It's gonna be for 6 months. But then again, it's probably jumping the gun too soon and stuff, and not really allowing the stuff to really just grow and be solidified. But that's the reason. So I'm like, my lifestyle is like a big part of it is the way it is now because of that aspect, and so it's learning that and just feeling that. But sometimes it's like nature, biology, being so it's like being like on the celibate journey or just saying you're waiting for whatever. It's not like it's easy because we're like I said, young men. I mean, you got hormones driving. You got all this stuff.
Cold showers.
you got all this. You got all this stuff, man. So it's like it's not easy, but it's like it makes you stronger. It feels like at least for me, I feel like Samson when he had his hair, the Nazarite vow, and it's like the strength he just got from retaining and keeping that power, and it's like that's just how I feel with it.
It ain't your hair.
Yeah.
But I agree with it. I'm gonna tell you this, brothers, and I'm gonna shut up, man. What you're doing is gonna be so worth it when your time comes. It's gonna be well worth the wait. It's gonna be well worth the wait because you're putting the work in, designing, taking part in that designing and structuring of the relationship that you want to have, not that you get caught up in. Not you mess around and made a baby in. The one you want to have. And I applaud you, young men. I applaud you. Very proud of y'all.
All right. So does anyone else have anything they want to close out with? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and close out the podcast.
No, I'm pretty straight.
You have anything you want to add, Zach?
I would just say take time to like know yourself as a man. I think that's the most important thing, just to gain respect for yourself. Therefore, if you can respect yourself, you can respect anybody else. And also love yourself. Love yourself for the good, love yourself for the bad. Because there's some things that you can't change about yourself. So just literally like look in the mirror and just say I love who I am. And therefore, building that type of trust can leverage who you are in a big way.
Yeah. Well, it is definitely easier for someone to love you when you love yourself, man. Because you're gonna be a light to them. That's true. So I guess that's gonna conclude this podcast for today. I think it was a very important and good conversation we had with these young men. If you like the conversation that we have on these podcasts, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and call this. We'll wrap it up here and call this another episode.
I agree. Once again, if you like the topics, want to submit something, participate in Dialogue to Destiny, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on here and see what you have to offer to the community.
And as a classic YouTube saying go, hit that like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.
There you go.
To stay up to date with all the latest news on Dialogue to Destiny.
Right on, Wes.
Knock, knock.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, Zach.